Hello and welcome to Champion Reviews. And in today's news, I am here with my co-host Dan.
Greetings. Today we're having
A Spider Slayer review session.
in another news, a nice dark evening with wall crawlers
Everywhere. Yep. This episode had some better stuff, some less better stuff. The animation and art, I don't think we need to discuss in future episodes. We're not going to include it in the general reviews because it's perfect. Now, the reason we say that is because it's true. Now, you look at the characterization. Peter is spot on here. We're not going to be looking at the comic books anymore for the most part. It's just going to be cartoon Peter. Peter in this episode, I like the part where he actually checks out Felicia as she's sashaying her way out. And he's such a guy. I love Jonah just telling him, and shut your mouth, Parker, because he's gaping after her. But I do like how Jameson's kind of like, like my best photographer. But
he's
fingers crossed behind his back. But the thing with Peter in this episode that's so spot on is his heroism, but also like his understandingness towards Flash to an extent. What I mean is, after he saves Flash Thompson in this episode, despite Flash being a jerk to him, he tells him, now you know what kind of trouble this mask brings on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very, very good point. The trouble is Peter endures and faces stuff that no other hero could almost understand.
It shows the levity of picking up the mask.
Well, the gravity of picking it up.
Yeah.
Because you said levity.
Right.
But whoops, Freudian slip. Because the levity that Peter brings on...
And let's move on.
No, I was just going to say the levity with which he treats some of the threats. Like, you look at him, like, when he smashes that one robot. Do the Mets need me or what? He's trolling his enemies. And that's the thing. Like, he doesn't do that no more. And he used to. And it's so funny.
They just want zippy one-liners.
And, well, if you want zippy one-liners, at least make them good. At least
here.
Yeah, like here. Peter is perfect as in costume and out of costume. He's a smart mouth either way. But at the same time, he does kind of play down his Peter Parker side. Whereas with his Spider-Man side, there are some differences, but that's because the character's expressing that deliberately. You have Eddie Brock is as slimy as ever.
Mm-hmm.
Flash Thompson in here seems like he's high school Flash.
Yeah.
And I like some of the stuff with him, but I kind of like it better had they leaned into college Flash.
Yeah, because there was a part of this episode during the news feed with Eddie Brock. It was a little cringy.
Now, that said, him going after Peter a little in the costume is a little funny. Him being a Spider-Man fan is a little funny. But the main thing I liked was him realizing, like, when he says, I always hoped that when the chips were down, I could be as brave as you. And I wouldn't be a coward. And here's the thing. I really, like, Flash starts off a bit of a hypocrite, saying, oh, I can be brave, and he's not. But then he realizes true courage. Like, later on even by the third episode, by the next episode, he does demonstrate a lot of courage when he tries to save Felicia. The thing is, he just needed to chicken out once and realize, like, the gravity of what he's doing, like, what true fear is before he could be truly courageous and noble.
Mm-hmm.
I like Flash.
It's like the saying goes, courage isn't the lack of fear, but
overcoming it.
Exactly.
Aunt May is funny in this episode. She quips a little.
It's like you can tell she's still the delicate little lady who doesn't get out
much, but I get why she's like, I just want to watch television. I don't much like these parties. And I get that. I'm like that. But I like how she just eventually she's shoved into Jonah's room, just sits down and watches the news.
Well, because
Why bother? Like, she's hilarious. But I like how the quipping war between Jonah and Pete. I do like his jokes about like, oh, and they say the school system's failing, like stuff like that. Who else? Felicia is romantic with Peter, but then at the end of the episode, she's a jerk to him because he ran off to save his aunt, risking his life for her, only for her to hassle him and say, "Oh, first the liar, now the coward." No offense, but my response to her, now she's a spoiled little rich girl, but my response is just this about the character is just there's no pleasing her because you look at Flash, yeah, he lied, but he was playing a practical joke. I kind of don't mind people doing that to a limited extent, but at the same time, they're like Flash just went for a traumatic experience, a little understanding, and then you get
it's
Peter.
like, I understand this wasn't the type of
Joke you should pull.
Especially at such a guy. Okay, he commented he was going to do it at a
Frat party.
That's one thing.
But
This wasn't hype.
but it's still a little compassion to Flash.
Yeah, yeah.
And on the other hand, then you get Peter. It's like, you're a coward. Yeah, when he dashed in front of a giant man-killing robot to save his mom. That's cowardice. What? And, well, he abandoned her. Or, well, she put it as, you abandoned me. To save his mom.
Which, it does go to show that the start of Felicia's arc.
Yeah, but, okay, yeah, you're right. So in that regard, I guess I can understand it. Like, later, as Black Cat, no offense, but I didn't like her as much.
Yeah, she's a lot more likable in some ways here than in the comics.
Well, post-97. Pre-97,
Yeah.
she's much more likable.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like you said, certain characters that are better done in the comics in certain ages are better done here and vice versa. This is not the best portrayal of Felicia Hardy, but it's not the worst. The worst belongs to post-97.
Oh, agreed.
And I think that's it for the Smythes and Kingpin and Osborn. Osborn, this is the best portrayal of Osborn ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a more three-dimensional view, but on the other hand, he is slimy when he's in this episode. But in later episodes, they humanize him, but also make him slimier. It's complicated. It's nuanced. Kingpin is essentially if Spider-Man interferes and wins the day, Kingpin will win. If he doesn't, and he dies, Kingpin will win. This is classic Kingpin. He is awesome in here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how he should be.
It's like, sure, eventually in different mediums, the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn, they get old.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't like Green Goblin in the comics. He's boring.
Yeah, it's like, I don't mind Norman Osborn in here.
Well, I have to actually say something. I don't mind Green Goblin if it's Harry in the comics. But Norman just got freaking old and tiring. I'm a weirdo. I preferred Harry as Green Goblin only because Norman... I felt with Harry there was an arc to it. Whereas in Norman, it just got beaten over our heads eventually when it's like, leave him dead. He died perfectly in 75.
They should have kept him at the reverse Ben Parker.
Yeah, like the anti-Ben Parker.
Yeah, to show
what...
Yeah.
Now that said, I will concede the live-action movie had the perfect actor for the role, but the script was really, really bad. But that's typical of the Sam Raimi movies. They were never very good.
As for the Smythe, I think it's a huge departure from the comics.
The comics didn't do a good job with Alistair, but in here, you can understand him. His dad is the world's finest expert in robotics, second only to his son, who's a natural born genius. But the thing is, Alistair's dad, there was a lab explosion, and Alistair, lost the usage of his legs. But the thing is, his dad hires himself out to Norman to kill Spider-Man,
which does show that this series does one thing:
nuance.
it does take obscure characters like
Yeah,
Smythe
but
and even Silvermane.
but
And
the thing is with Alice, yeah, really well. But Alistair, I'm just saying, his character origin here is really good because he's human. Because his dad's just trying to get a hover chair for his son, so he could have essentially. He can never get him to walk again, but he could do the next best thing.
give him a bit more freedom.
But the problem is the son just keeps saying, "I don't trust Norman Osborn," and remember he says, "Whenever anyone tells me I have to trust them, I always get a bad feeling about it." And Alistair is right. And the thing is, his dad isn't entirely evil. Yeah, I know he's trying to commit murder, but it's for his baby, his son.
Mhm.
Alistair, though, goes on the revenge path, and it twists and perverts him because, well, he wants revenge for his dad's death. And he blames Spider-Man, Norman Osborn, and
Eddie Brock and
Eddie
Flash
Brock and
Thompson.
Flash Thompson. But the thing is, it was not their fault. I would argue it was Norman's and Kingpin's. But the thing is, Alistair quickly becomes quite vile, but then gets a bit of a redemption arc towards the end. But the thing is, we're not there yet. But in this episode, Alistair, I love the scene of him just on that hill, staring down at the destroyed remains, depressed, and Kingpin approaches him. It's a very iconic scene, but it's also a very sad one because you can understand why Alistair is destroyed by this. But he's not angry initially. It's Kingpin who stokes him into rage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we ended up, as we were talking about the characters, discussing the plot of this episode, so there's no need
Yeah.
to go over it.
What did you think of Natasha Romanoff's appearance in this episode?
Pardon?
The Black Widow does show up.
Oh, she's never looked better.
Yeah.
I will admit, although I hate the Black Widow character in the comics because, well, she'll sleep with just about anyone. And I'm not saying a character can't be a bit of a man whore or slut, but I'm just saying, like, at some point, stop having the character sleep with anything that's got two legs. Like, but the thing is, you look, and as to the movies, I will admit, ScarJo was really beautiful in the role, but they didn't do anything with the character.
Yeah, but that's neither here or there. Look at the robot. Very nice.
Oh, I love the Spider Slayer, the Black Widow. It's got a sleek design.
Mm-hmm.
Now that said, like, if you liked the MCU and its portrayal of Black Widow, or you're a Black Widow fan, I just want to say real quick as a disclaimer, you're entitled to your opinion. I just don't care for the character.
Same.
Hey, look at it this way. There are DC characters I feel the same way. It's like, you look at, I think, not Black Canary, but her bestie,
Huntress?
Huntress. I don't really care for Huntress either.
Yeah,
I don't get the
fair.
point.
At least it's not Lady Blackhawk.
Who? No, like, nobody knows who that character is. Although, because there's no point to the character. She's just a background character. Although, one could argue that they kind of did that with Harry. Stopped him in the background, but gave him a slow, steady arc in the series. I just remembered Harry Osborn's in this episode.
Which,
That's skillfully handled.
Yeah, this series has already planted 4 or 5 different plot points.
Villains and heroes alike.
That goes throughout the entire series.
Yes. And the showrunners of this show, I would argue, are the best showrunners in any TV series history.
It's like putting aside all the Peter cliche poor things. You've got...
Well, they didn't actually really touch that.
In the first episode with...
Oh, they did. But in this episode, they didn't touch on it.
I know. I'm just saying, aside that, for long-term plots, we have Kirk Connors, the entire trouble with...
Yeah, in the first episode.
You've got Jameson's antagonism towards Spider-Man.
Yeah, you have the great jokes.
Now you've got... there was Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock, I love the long-term planning that they put into him.
We've got Flash Thompson.
And here's the thing. There's only one thing I kind of have a complaint about. I would have liked at least one reference to Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
I know that his shadow is looming over May and Peter because they're both still grieving for him. But Uncle Ben is very important, but you can be forgiven for semi-forgetting that. But I know, like, once the series starts actually addressing Uncle Ben, they do the best job out of all the interpretations. Although I will admit, I have to concede, I do like how Stan Lee approached him in the comics in Amazing Fantasy issue 15, which I've read, which stands the test of time. And I would argue this. I hate the Sam Raimi movie, but the actor and the way it was. Okay, it's one of the few good things in that Spider-Man script. And the way the actor did it, it was perfect portrayal of Ben Parker. That, like, no one could do as good a job, I think.
And
with Ben Parker, at least.
We also have two last plot points.
Felicia?
Well, three. Felicia, Smythe, and the Kingpin.
Yep.
And the Kingpin is very well introduced.
Yeah. He's very sinister here. And he's not immediately figured out to be the Kingpin by Spider-Man until, I think, like season 2 or something, or 3, which is a lot of long-term planning. But anyways, how would you rate this episode?
2.
Yeah, you didn't like this episode as much as the previous one?
This one was a good episode. It's just the one cringy moment with the news, and
I don't know, I liked it.
It's like
I thought it was funny.
Flash's stunt. It was funny, but it's like
it is a little cringe. But I'll give it 2 star and a quarter stars.
Okay.
2.1.
2.
So if you like this review, for one thing, start rewatching the show. And like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Launch a smart bomb at that
notification bell.